Hey guys, it's Jason Dutch, voice from the underground, the podcast. All right, just want to talk about a couple of quick things here, as it's late, and put the kids down regarding Joe Biden. Um, so first of all, super excited, super happy about the results of the election coming in with Pennsylvania being called for now President-elect Joe Biden. Um, Still a few states out there to call to make this pad this lead, and frankly, it's important. So uh, I am Icon Music. Hey, brother, thank you for joining, or sister. I'm not sure if. And Chaletta, hey, how are you? Thanks for tuning in, guys. So, uh, guy, thanks. It's a guy. Okay. So, so I'm super happy. But we need to get many more states. Hopefully, and obviously we want these counts to come in. We want them to come in fair. We want them to come in with legal ballots. There is no one saying that they want illegal ballots counted. There is no one saying that. There is no one saying that. There is no one saying, oh, yeah, let's count illegal ballots. Nobody is saying this. So, but of course, the GOP is expecting that every person who voted for Biden or is cheering for Biden is okay with illegal votes. There's going to be illegal votes. There is going to be illegal votes. We know that. There's illegal votes in every election, municipal to federal. They are astonishingly low. You know, you're talking about somewhere between 0.001% and 0.1%. And not everything that they're talking about as being illegal is actually illegal. Some of them are provisional. Some of them are people where they moved out of the county but still retain their voting rights in the county, or had a different polling place that they didn't know about, that sort of thing. For example, myself, I went to my polling place here in Bakersfield, California. Um, they moved my polling place for the first time since I've been here. I did not know because I didn't want to vote by mail. Um, so I went to where I usually vote. They said, "Hey, we don't do it here anymore. It's over there." So I went over there, which was at my kid's school. They didn't have me on the list. They had my wife on the list, but not me. So I filled out a provisional ballot, and my vote will get counted at the end. So it's probably counted by now, but that's just the way that it works, right? So yes, they have to go back and verify whether or not I I sent in a mail ballot too. I'm sure somebody did that. Some people might do it by accident. Some people might do it by fraud. It's not just going to be Democrats doing this, though. That's the thing that really is irritating. Um, to think that it's going to be 2 million votes out there that are fraudulent, and they're all going to be from Democrats, or 99%, is dumb. It's stupid. Okay. Now let's talk about the important stuff. I'm going to read for you I'm going to read for you. Oh, by the way, real quick before I do that, a little shout out to my boy Brian at the Herfcast. If you enjoy cigars, check out his show. It is Cigars and Conversation. So the herfcast.com is the name of the podcast. So good dude. Thanks for the shirt. So I'm going to read for you a tweet here. And it's not just this one tweet. This yesterday night, I got up and I was listening to KNZR, which is a shitty ass conservative talk radio station in Bakersfield. But I like to listen to see what's going on and hear the other side sometimes. And they had Coast to Coast AM on. Jerome Corsi was on and talking about how it is not only a hope of his, but the duty of Republican legislators to install electors in those states that would be faithless and would still vote for, quote, patriotism, vote for America, save the country, and put in Donald Trump. This was echoed by multiple people online, mostly on Twitter. And it turns out Twitter, maybe not the best place in the world to have a conversation. But Mark Levine, for example, had said that based on Article 2 of the Constitution, and said, attention, Republican legislators, check out Article 2 of the Constitution, do your duty. So, yes, AKA cheat by any means necessary. So there are many other people doing this. If you just go on to Twitter or Google and you Google the word or tweet search the word electors after this video, you will see this conversation is taking place in many places. It's happening on Facebook. The Republicans are pissed off. And you know what? I get it. There's a few of them that genuinely believe that their country is under attack from radical socialist Marxists with Black Lives Matter as the militant arm of that movement. They're idiots, but I understand it's possible to be a genuinely ignorant idiot and think that you're actually on the right side of history. So we need to talk to these people. We need to get through these people. But they're out in droves. I mean, I was driving down through Bakersfield today, and there was a parade of Trump supporters just driving down the street, trying to be intimidating, with literally like a military, obviously retired military surplus vehicle leading, two of them, I think, leading this procession of vehicles that was mostly pickup trucks and Jeeps. And I think this was like one of those old, it kind of looked like a crane, but it was one of those old missile launcher trucks. Obviously it wasn't armed, I hope. But you know, it's there for intimidation. And they're just, these guys are running stoplights like it was a funeral procession. And I support your right to do stuff like that. I don't know about the running stoplights part, but you know, Democrats took to the streets in 2016 as well they should have. Now we see why. But if you want to take to the streets, Republicans, take to the streets, but do so with some sort of tact. Do so with some sort of actual legitimate reason for being out there. And not Joe Biden likes to sniff kids' hair and he's a pedophile. Not Marxists are going to take over the country. Because honestly, you don't know what a Marxist is. You're confusing Marxism with Leninist socialism. And if you don't know the difference between the two, then you're a fucking idiot. And you should educate yourself. So I've talked to a few Republican buds of mine, a few people in the media and other independent media about this. And they say, well, why, you know, I'm not going to condemn Mark Levine and Jerome Corsi and the multiple other people, Rudy Giuliani, talking about, you know, installing faithless electors because electors vote for the president. The media doesn't. And they're right. The media doesn't. But the media is called since like before World War II. They called it in 2016. And what was the problem then? There wasn't one. Of course there wasn't one then. But they say, well, you know, it's so why would I condemn this? Why would I condemn a call for faithless electors when it's actually faithless electors are real? They're actually something that can happen, and that's the way we vote for presidents. Well, you're quick to call out how unethical, condemn abortion, but abortion's legal. I thought you believed what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. Butterchin says, or voter fraud in 4 states at the same time with no practice, and they all kept it secret. Show me the evidence. Okay, so here's the thing. Okay, this is the difference between me and your typical GOP Trump supporter. As I take a hit of my vape. If there's voter fraud, let's call it out. Let's flush it out. Let's prosecute the people that did it, regardless of their party. If Hunter Biden's laptop has illegal information on it, let's prosecute him. If Joe Biden turns out to have done something with Hunter Biden's laptop, which I think is horse crap, but if he did it, let's prosecute him. You know what we shouldn't do? You know what we shouldn't do? We shouldn't get a 300-page Mueller report that outlines a lot of really shady shit and led to, what, 6 people in Trump's inner circle being arrested, and then pretend it's a witch hunt. You know what we shouldn't do is listen to the actual Ukraine call, which many people within the GOP Senate and the GOP House came out and said, yeah, I'm not sure if it's impeachable. It definitely isn't good behavior. And hear that with one ear when then out of your mouth say, oh, but it's a witch hunt. Because that's called hypocrisy. You know what we shouldn't do is say that Merrick Garland shouldn't go to the Supreme Court and then implement Amy Coney Barrett and say, oh, but it was because it was a midterm and it was an opposing Senate, when you didn't say those things prior. You know what we should do is do what's right. Not what is right for our party. What's right for America. Because if you're such a fucking patriot, you should care about America, not your goddamn political party. Okay? If there's fraud, throw the people in jail with who's committing the goddamn fraud. Investigate them. I would imagine it will be 50-50 split of fraudulent votes from both parties. So don't go out there and say, oh, we hear there's voter fraud in Pennsylvania because all those fucking black people, they must, where are they saying the fraud's at? Detroit. Well, Philadelphia. Do I hear anything about Pittsburgh? Nothing. God, why? I wonder why. Why could that be? Oh, Dutch, it's because in Obama's years, it got 59 precincts with no votes for Romney. Yeah, and if you read up on why that was, it starts to make sense. But you got votes. You got about 19% of the vote in Philadelphia right now. Trump. So where's the fraud? That's way above the 0 that it was in 2012. So the fraud must be coming from the GOP. It's off by 19%. You know, think about the things that come out of your mouth because you sound stupid. Your ringleader has Rudy Giuliani as his personal lawyer and spokesperson, who got suckered by Sacha Baron Cohen. Yeah. So yeah, let's prosecute. If somebody's cheating, let's call out the cheating. Let's condemn the cheating. Let's put together a commission report on it. And let's talk about it after it happens. And if it affected the election, then at that point in time, we'll address that as a nation. But you don't want to do that. You on the GOP side want to pick and choose what is going to suit your narrative and support your narrative that you've been talking about for a while, because Trump wants to just keep himself in power. And with this faithless elector thing, I'll admit to you, when I didn't vote for Hillary, but and I didn't vote for Trump either, by the way, but back in 2016, I remember thinking, man, I could understand if there was faithless electors in the 2016 election. I would get it, because you got a xenophobe. And by the way, let's remember who was calling Trump a xenophobe in 2016. Ted Cruz, Lindsey Graham, if memory serves, Marco Rubio, and others, Jeb Bush, and others within the Republican inner circle. So you would think maybe if you were an elector in, say, Pennsylvania or Michigan, and you had a soul. I'm not saying you should be a faithless elector, but I am saying I can understand why you might think about it. But here's the irony. Hillary lost, and you still had faithless electors, 3 or 4 of them, that voted for someone other than Hillary. I don't remember who they voted for. I want to say one of them voted for like Evan McMullen, or I think one for Trump, one maybe for Bernie. I don't really remember. It's not important. Trump lost 0 votes, electoral votes. Hillary lost at least 3. Might have been 4. So now there have been some law changes that have gone through. Pennsylvania, you can't. They hold their electors accountable. But there's at least, I've seen different information on this, and I only tell you guys what I know to be true. And what I know to be true is that, and you say woo, Butterchins, but it's not quite a woo, because it doesn't have to be that they get that Pennsylvania installs 20 people as electors and all 20 of them vote for Trump. Because in Pennsylvania, they can't do that. All they got to do is find, what would it be? Let's say he's going to end up at the 306. So all you got to do is find 37 of them across the country. You think that there wasn't 37 people in that caravan of Trump flag flying trucks or beating on the windows saying, stop the count, stop the count. Oh, wait, he's losing now. Keep on counting. Keep on counting. Now let's count again. Now let's count again. You think those people aren't going to, you think if they're installed as an elector, they're going to vote for Biden? Do you truly believe that if they took the oath of an elector, that those people would vote for Joe Biden? Do you seriously think that these people who cheered the death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg would vote for Joe Biden? Do you seriously believe that these people who condemn Black Lives Matter because they believe that Patrisse Cullors is a lesbian witch? That's actually what they believe. Do you believe that the people who voted in 2 QAnon supporters into Congress would vote for Joe Biden? Hello, Anonymous Hacker 33. Hi, I'm okay. I'm good, because we won. But just remember, they're going to try. Okay, they're talking about, and some of the things that they're bringing up are legitimate, and some of them are not. So what have you won? We won 270 electoral votes. Is the question that I have here from tweet. So we won, but again, we're talking about yes, Joe Biden won the election. We're talking about 270 is what you need. Yeah, right. But right now, hopefully it'll be 306. And that's what I'm talking about, is that we're going to need possibly as many as we can get, because they're going to cheat. So yeah, you have the Supreme Court thing. We don't know what's going to happen with that. I don't believe that the Supreme Court's going to overturn this. They might stop some of the provisional ballots, but at this point in time, why would Trump want to stop the provisional ballots when they're his only hope of catching up? What he wants to do is get all mail-in ballots thrown out. But little history on mail-in ballots for the military-loving right wing. They claim they love the military so much, yet seem to vote against them when they run for office against Republicans. We have mail-in voting because of the Civil War, and since the Civil War. Because during the Civil War, soldiers, see what happened during the Civil War was, and all the way through the early part of history, is your vote was public. Okay, a little election history for you. Your vote was public. In fact, they didn't have the same parties as we have today, but not exactly, at least. But in the early 1800s, I don't know what color the ballots were, but let's say you had pink for Republican, and blue for Democrat. Everybody knew what color the piece of paper was you were putting into the bowl. So that was not good. Also, soldiers fighting in the Civil War were thought to be, because they weren't home, they were thought to be not worthy enough to vote by a lot of people. So yes, that's called voter suppression. I must have taken a debate class or two. But so if anonymous hacker, if you have something you'd like to ask, or if you think something I'm saying is wrong, by all means, let me know. I'm happy to address it right here and now. But I'm not sure if you do or not. But anyway, the soldiers in the Civil War were not, that people didn't really want them to vote, but their generals said, hey, you know what? We want you to be able to vote. But a lot of times they wanted to make sure that they were voting for Lincoln or voting for, whomever the commanding officer was. And they didn't necessarily trust that the commanding officer of their platoon would get the vote back to their hometown, because they weren't sure if their vote would be suppressed by their commanding officers, or that they would receive some sort of discrimination because of their vote. Thus, we implemented mail-in voting, when we've had it since the 1860s. And suddenly it's a problem, but we're in the middle of an epidemic, and makes sense to not go to the polls if you don't have to. So, okay, thank you. You agree with me. Wasn't sure what you were talking about there. So you can come up. Scopes McScope, thanks for the comments. But send unsolicited ballots to those who don't ask for it. Is called vote harvesting. Republican leaders pretend to love troops but send them endless wars. So that's one of the things people have been talking about is, well, you're sending ballots out to people who aren't requesting them, but they're not forcing them to use it. And if you don't want the ballot, you have a garbage can in your kitchen. Use it. That is unproven. They don't send people to the house to help them fill them out. Show me a video of that, because I know that if that was the case, somebody would have taken a video, some GOP person would have taken a video with their cell phone. Okay? They don't send people. Now, maybe there's some organizations, like you might be able to contact, for example, this is speculative, but if I wasn't really sure what to do with it, I might call the Bakersfield Democratic Party and say, hey, I'm an older person. I don't know what to do with this. Can someone come help me with it? Maybe they would do that. But I've never heard of it happening, nor have I ever seen the evidence of that happening. Nor do I think, nor am I sure that that would be fraud. But I don't know. So, if it's a human being helping other human being, they're not just coming to your house and saying, "Oh, can I help you fill out your ballot?" And if it does happen, where's it happening? What do you have? 7 instances of this across the country, I'm guessing. So, I see 7 instances across the country, right? So that means that 2 million votes minus 7. Good luck with that. And Republicans 0 times would never do it because they're so patriotic and Republicans are so patriotic and they're such law-abiding citizens that they never would ever be thrown in jail for voter fraud. Oh wait, that's right, they are. Just in North Carolina last couple years ago. But do you see anyone on the left? I'm not even on the left. But do you see anyone on the left crying about the 2016 election? About suppression? I'm sorry, about fraud? You'll see voter suppression is one thing, fraud is another. Voter suppression and disinformation is a problem. Fraud is not a problem. They did a study of, I think, over 1 billion ballots cast and found 55 clear counts of voter suppression. 1 billion ballots. That was over like 6 or 7 presidential elections, and found like 55 votes that were fraud. And you know what else is sad? Look at all the Latino support that the Republican Party got in Cuba or in Florida, because Cubans, turns out, don't want to come here to vote for a Democratic Party when they just escaped communism. Now, communism and the Democratic Party are not anywhere near each other, and anyone who thinks that doesn't know what they're talking about. But they still go as far away from that as possible. And I'm not going to say that I can blame them. Why then is it that the right fights for the wall so hard? Oh, they must be rapists. They must be murderers. They must be coyotes. MS-13, couple of them might be good people, but let's throw kids in cages on purpose, knowing that the Obama administration had gotten in trouble for that. But we're going to do it anyway, and we're going to separate you from your parents on top of that, just because we want to piss the left off so much that they'll fold and give us money for the wall. Yeah, that's not at all xenophobic. But and I was mentioning that before because, and I'll get off this in a sec. But I was mentioning before that I could kind of, and I see there's comments. I'll go back. I can kind of understand that someone would be a faithless elector against Trump last time, based on all of the crazy stuff that he was saying, and it didn't happen. I'm glad it didn't happen. It happened against Hillary. But this one, despite all of the things that Trump has done and all of the divisiveness, and telling LeBron James to shut up and dribble while telling Drew Brees, why don't we listen? And every photo op he possibly can get with a rapper, he wants to do it. He's trying to prove he's not bigoted. Notice I used the word bigoted, not racist, because people have different perceptions of that word. It's like pie. If I say pie in New York, you might think pizza. If I say pie in Alabama, you might think coconut cream. there is a right and a wrong definition for racism, but that doesn't mean that everyone shares that definition in their head anecdotally. They think of it as different things. Some people think to be racist, you have to hate black people and you wouldn't let one make a sandwich for you at Subway. And I dance around a cross with a hood, a burning cross with a hood on. Other people think racism is, Justin Trudeau dressed up in blackface for a high school play and is perpetually racist. I think it's probably neither. So it's the perception of people, right? But Trump is clearly bigoted, implicitly or overtly, probably both. And his bigotries are deep-seated. So I could understand if you wanted to be a faithless elector and not give Trump some of the 200 and what was it? Where is he at now? I forget. 250, 230. I don't recall, but it's just like 232, I think. The votes that he earned, I can understand it. I wouldn't support it, but I can understand it. Yeah, Obama did he didn't necessarily put kids in cages. He locked up children with their parents when their parents were arrested because he didn't want to separate them. 15th Circuit Court, California said, don't do that. So he stopped. Guess what Trump did? He said, fuck the 15th Circuit Court. I want a wall, and this will piss off the left. And not only am I going to lock up the parents and lock up the kids like the court said not to, I'm going to lock up the kids separate because fuck those kids. They're great bargaining chips. Waiting for your response. Because that's actually a fact. And last I checked, quote Ben Shapiro, facts don't care about your feelings. That's deflection. Now you're deflecting. You're saying, oh, give them a summons when they appear legally. We're not talking about that. We're talking about kids in cages. We're not talking about how to stem. You want to fix illegal immigration? How about you prosecute the farmers that hire illegals and steal tax money? Prosecute those farmers in Arizona and Texas and Southern California who are hiring all these people and paying them $2 an hour to pick soybeans. Prosecute them because they're the ones stealing from you and me. Okay? In the words of Captain America, I can do this all day. So here's the point. Right wingers, I understand you're upset. I know I don't know how you're going to fill up your liberal tears mugs with GOP rage, maybe. MAGA tears. But, go ahead, do your protests. Hopefully you won't hurt anybody. I know you already have, but hopefully you won't hurt anyone else. I know that you had a couple guys go from Virginia to DC and wanting to do terrorism in Philadelphia with a AR-15 with the serial number sawed off, but not a peep from OANN. Nope, not a peep from Newsmax. You either separate families, lock up the whole families, give them a summons, or send them back. What else? You're arguing the actual issue itself and what to do with immigrants. What I am talking about is the fact that Trump did something that was already taken off of that list. So in other words, the list of the stuff that you just wrote there, scopes, mixed scope. You separate families, lock up the whole family, give a summons, or send them back, or what else? You listed 4 things. The court said you can't do 2 of them. That leaves you with 2. So you shouldn't have even written the other 2 because they're no longer options legally. I thought we cared about law and order. Okay? Trump did it despite its legality because he doesn't give a fuck about the law. All he cares about is getting his fucking wall. And he ain't getting it now. And you know what? Honestly, I'm not against a wall. You want to build a wall? Fine. The Obama administration talked about a wall. I was fine with it. I'm not against bricks. What I'm against is bricks being built based on fear and culture wars and a fear of people who might change your neighborhood or are too dark-skinned, etc. Because white people get way too fucking uncomfortable way too fucking fast. Way too fucking uncomfortable way too fucking fast. Prove that, Dutch. Sure. I'm from a town called South Holland, Illinois. Used to be a Dutch community. Why? That's why it's called South Holland. Not a white person lives there anymore. Because a couple black people moved in. That was cool. All right. You know, a couple of cousins moved in. Oh, shit. Time to sell. Because the news tells us they're criminals. Richard Nixon said they're criminals, law and order. So let's sell. Then the schools fall apart because property taxes go down. Because white people won't live there anymore. Anyway, yeah, Newsmax's not going to call anything. Butter chains. And we'll leave one last comment here. Just real quick, if you guys do want to check out the podcast, if you're watching this on Periscope, if you can do me a huge favor, if you like what you're hearing, we are Voice from the Underground, politics and pop culture. We'll talk about The Mandalorian for an hour, and then we'll talk about Trump for an hour. And I'll answer that question in a second. But the, you know, so the best thing you could do for us, if you want to help us, is there's two things. You can subscribe on YouTube or give us an iTunes review. You notice there's no money involved with either of those things. We do have ways to donate money to us. I won't bring those up now, especially during COVID. I'm sure people need their money for themselves. But you can go to youtube.com. So if you can do me that huge favor, jot it down, you know, go over to YouTube. It's youtube.com/voice from the underground podcast. That's youtube.com/voice from the underground podcast, and subscribe. The little logo up there, you'll see it. You can also just Google Voice from the Underground podcast. You'll find our YouTube, you'll find our iTunes. If you could subscribe on iTunes or leave us a review or rating on iTunes at Voice from the Underground, please do so. We sometimes go by VFU. We sometimes go by Voice from the Underground, not of, from, Voice from the Underground. But we'd love to have, we live stream every Thursday. My co-host Big Haas does a cigar review. You know, he's a big Black Lives Matter activist. Mickey Famine is our producer. We talk about music 1 minute. We'll talk about politics the next. It's always politics and something fun. Yesterday, our show, we talked about Lauren Boebert, who was elected to Congress in Colorado and is now basically the right-wing version of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And among other things. By the way, season 2 or episode 2 of The Mandalorian sucked. No, it's fine. I get what you're saying. It was the first time I watched an episode of The Mandalorian that wasn't good. It wasn't terrible, but it just wasn't that good. So anyway, I'll tell you what, Scopes McScope, I promise you this, I will bring up illegal immigration on one of the next couple live streams, and we'll read some of your comments, and we'll if you want to send an email into the show, you can do that at vfupodcast@gmail.com. That's vfupodcast@gmail.com. I'll read your email on air and we'll address it during the live stream. How about that? I do have some ideas on illegal immigration. I just don't have to. Episode 1 was great, but episode 2 sucked. And we will discuss it on the show. I don't have an hour right now to do this, so to talk about immigration. So, but we have right wingers on all the time. I don't agree with them. I'm a former Republican myself. No more, not especially not while they. And I'm wondering when Trump 2024 is going to start, but maybe next week. But anyway, keep an eye on this faithless elector thing, guys, because it's a real threat. And I don't think he's going to be able to get 56. I'm sorry, 36, 37. I don't think he's going to be able to get 37 people to flip. But yeah, yes, ACS, welcome to the show. I'm live here also. That is correct. So thank you for joining the stream. Try to shout out everybody. If I miss somebody, I apologize. But we're on Periscope right now. If you want to follow me on Periscope on Twitter, it's at Dutch Jason. It's at Dutch DUTCH Jason JASEN. On Facebook, you can like the podcast page, which is facebook.com/VFU podcast. And again, facebook.com/VFU podcast. Or, well, I'll tell you what, I'll put this banner up here. I'm doing this from my phone, but you can go there as well and get most of the links to our stuff from that website. So if you want to visit that website right there, vfupodcast.yolosite.com, you can do that. And then if anybody wants to donate to the show, there's a link there for that. Peace, love, and hair grease, everybody. I'm happy that we are going to have at least an ethical man in office. And again, I promise everyone, and I've promised this many times, we don't give a fuck about party on Voice from the Underground. We give a fuck about people and equal access to opportunity. Day one, we hold Joe Biden's feet to the fire. We don't suck his dick because he's in our party or the party we voted for this time. Day one, we hold his feet to the fire, just like we did with Trump. Only hopefully sans the bigotry and the gloating and the tweeting and the misogyny and all the other stuff that never happened according to Newsmax. So thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. Stay safe out there. Wear a fucking mask if you would be so kind. We'll talk to you later.